So, man, what's good, y'all? This is your guy, Manny, and this is the Talking Sports with Manny YouTube channel. Try to do the countdown, but it was so glitchy. So I'm going to go ahead and run the intro, and I'm going to introduce my guest for tonight. Let's get it. Welcome to the Back Row Redskins show. This is a Redskins pod. So today I have the admins from the Redskins Hub Facebook page. We got my guy Phil. We got Tony Andrews. We got Chris in the building. And we got Michael Smith. So guys, man, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
What's going on, man? Thanks for having us.
Absolutely, man. Y'all ready to talk some football?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So we're going to talk the 53-man roster today. We're also going to talk about the players that got cut. We're going to talk about practice squad, and we're going to talk about the outlook of the season if we have time. Also, we're going to have guests who come in, and they're going to be chiming in, chatting it up, and everything else.
We've got that.
Who's that?
Book a vacation rental now and get up to 20% back in travel credit.
Yeah, who is
by
that?
using promo code
Yeah, I think that's Phil. But
Welcome back to travel. Booking.com.
all right.
Where you going to, Phil?
Yeah, it was Phil.
Yeah, he's playing the big trip right now.
All right, so guys, how it's going to go tonight is we're going to have a list of topics. We're going to talk, but if somebody that's watching from YouTube super chats, then we're going to stop the show, acknowledge the super chat, and then get their question answered. So, 53-man roster has been announced, and we're going to start off with quarterbacks. The team obviously kept 3 quarterbacks, but there was a quarterback, a fourth one, known by the name of Spanish Jesus. He didn't make the cut. So I'm going to start with Phil, and you give me your spiel on the quarterbacks and what you see this season and how you think this went down with the cuts and everything. So Phil, take it away.
I'm not sure if Phil can hear you.
All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go to Tony.
So we got 4 quarterbacks. Now we got 3. We lost Steve Montez. This is really this is about as straightforward as we get. And the crazy part is Steve Montez got signed to the practice squad of the Detroit Lions, the worst team in the league. Well, this is a great opportunity for him. I'm looking forward to it. Good for him.
Absolutely.
We got Allen at 3. We got Heineke exactly where we need him at 2. You know, he's the guy that's coming off the bench, ignite things. And you got Fitz in first. I think it's I think it's great. I think it's exactly how it should be, to tell you the truth.
Okay, I love it, Chris. What about you? Quarterbacks, talk to me.
I mean, with Montez, man, I don't understand why this guy had so much hype. I mean, I remember seeing within Redskins Hub, the pages, people would, hype this dude up like he has like potential. It's like, nah, bro, he doesn't. Like, we got to stop anointing these undrafted free agents with all this, enthusiasm. They went undrafted for a reason. Okay, but then next with Kyle Allen, I mean, I expected him to make it regardless because you don't trade a 5th rounder from last year, to have him on the roster for nothing. Okay, cool. I don't think he's really much of anything anyway. Then you go to Heineke. I mean, that one game was beautiful, but I mean, it's not a body of work. So we'll see if he's, really the guy. If not, I mean, either way, it's a win-win for us because he's not going to be anything really against the cap or like draft capital for us. And then if he pans out, well, we just found someone. And then Fitzpatrick is Fitzpatrick. I mean, frankly, with the quarterback room, you can't get worse than what we were last year. Like, you just can't. Because I think I saw the other day, like someone said our QBR for like the entire quarterback room combined was dead last. Like, we were the worst quarterback room in football. And frankly, Fitzpatrick doesn't have to do anything much to be infinitely better than what we had. So I like the guys. I do. I think if Fitzpatrick has a chance at the playoffs, it's with us this year, without a question.
I love it. And is Phil back with us?
I think.
There he is. Yes, sir. Talk to us.
Awesome. I missed the question. I had to leave the studio.
We're talking about quarterbacks.
Quarterback?
On the 53.
Oh,
Yes, sir.
I love our quarterback room this year. Just like Christian said, I caught the tail end of it, but I think we're Fitz' best chance of making the playoffs for the first time ever.
Okay. All right. So when you look at the quarterback room, right? If we are a playoff team this year, that means that we're going to be drafting late in the first round next year because obviously the quarterback of the future is not on the team. Do you guys agree with that statement?
Agree.
So let's say, for example, we make it to the playoffs and let's say we win a game even, okay? That means we're picking in the 20s, mid-20s, right? Since Phil is the college guy, who do you see us even targeting next year draft-wise if we're supposed to be getting our quarterback?
Well, I mean, you got to depend on what they want to do, how far we have to trade up. It all depends on what the teams ahead of us need. I mean, say the Jets are the worst team in football again. Are they going to take the quarterback again? I mean, so the quarterbacks could fall. But you've got the guy from Liberty, and you got my boy Sam Howell. You got Spencer Rattler will probably come out.
Yep.
This is not a bad quarterback class. Everybody says it is, but I don't think it is at all.
Yeah.
I really like Sam Howell, of course, I think he fits our offense really, really well. And then Malik Willis from Liberty is he's a dog. He's a playmaker.
Right. I like those choices. I think Willis is going to be a monster. He reminds me a lot of like Russell Wilson and Lamar Jackson combined. Now, when we talk about free agent quarterbacks to come here next year, I want to go to Christian, then I want to go to Tony, then I want to go to Michael. Christian?
Mm-hmm. I mean, the obvious hope in the room is that Aaron Rodgers decides to, forego the 2022 season with the Packers and decides to free himself. And frankly, there's not a money amount in the world that I wouldn't throw at that opportunity, because I think if you combine what structure we have with, what he brings, like that's frankly a championship-worthy team, I would say. Right. Now, I think we might have our QB of the future in the room, depending on what we do. So like you just said, if we're a playoff team and we manage to win, say for hypothetically we win a game, I think it's kind of hard to justify moving away from Patrick or Fitzpatrick, because that's assuming then that I would say probably in the likely event that he probably played the season and won a game for us in the playoffs. So I would almost feel like the likeliness of us just sticking with him at least for another year or two would probably go up a lot. Now, if we, if we're not a playoff team, say we end up, going sub 500 and we're like picking 12 or 13, then I think we probably have to trade up in some capacity for one better. And so, we'll just have to see what happens then. But I would say if we're talking purely free agent quarterbacks, I don't really know who else is off the top of the list available, but I think those would be the likely scenario in that case with Fitzpatrick.
Absolutely, man. Shout out to my guy, Steve Lim, man. Welcome to the stream, man. He's from the Addicts Podcast. Love you too, bro. Y'all make sure y'all check out the Washington Football Addicts Podcast. Great podcast and great group of guys there. Mike Smith, talk to me about free agency next year if we are to add a quarterback.
All right, so first and foremost, man, let's stick with what we have in-house. I am such a firm believer in building what we have. So that Heineke kid who's local from Virginia, let's give him everything and anything that he needs. Besides extended contract, because he's already there for 2 years. All right.
Right.
I have a feeling that Fitzpatrick is going to, do what he does best. He's going to spark and then he's going to go down. And then from there, Heineke's going to take us over and then he's going to take us to the promised land. So let's stick with the local kid from Virginia. If this does not work, I will never say Cam Newton. That's not going to happen. He belongs in Atlanta somewhere. You know what I mean? Let's let it go, okay? All right, let the guy work on his rap career. All right. What about Deshaun Watson? This thing might blow over. I don't know. So that's where I'm at on that.
Yeah, with me and Deshaun Watson, man, due to the character issues, I'm gonna get to you, Chris. Due to the character issues, I just don't see a scenario where Ron Rivera brings in a Deshaun Watson. Chris, talk to me before I go to.
I was just gonna say I just pulled up the free agent quarterback list for 2022. This is on Spot Track.
Okay.
So these are some names I'm just gonna throw out there. There's Ben Roethlisberger, Teddy Bridgewater, Taysom Hill, obviously Ryan Fitzpatrick, Andy Dalton, Nick Foles, Tyrod Taylor, Jameis Winston, Jacoby Brissett, Marcus Mariota, and then it just goes for Trubisky on down from there. So just
trash. That whole list started as trash, and it just went down from there. Yeah, it was just complete trash. Okay, that's
So I'm just throwing it out there as names to consider, but that's it.
All right, Tony, who do you want as a free agent quarterback next year?
Rodgers is technically, I think, a free agent next year, right? Because they're voiding a year of the contract, or it's just going to be something that they can actually negotiate away. But you're going to pay compensation for Rodgers, so he's not a free agent. He's got another year. So now we're talking about compensation. If you're looking at free agents, Christian went over them. I don't want any of those people. I didn't want them last year. Why do I want them this year? Now, the only exception could be, for me, is Jameis Winston. We'll see what he does down in New Orleans. He looked pretty strong in preseason. It's a bounce back year for him. Let's see what he does over there. Maybe he becomes the next great free agent that everybody wants. But then if he is that great, Sean Payton ain't gonna let him go. So
Tony, he makes too many goofy faces for me. I can't do it. The goofy faces just, set everything off. It's not going to work. You know what I mean? Yeah. How are you going to eat your fingers? I mean,
eat a W.
Eat a W. Absolutely right. I posted the eat a W, GIF more than once. I am not a fan of him up to date. I didn't want him last year. So I figured if he was available, Sean Payton wouldn't let him go. And I think it's the same thing. Mm-hmm. Now, as far as Taysom Hill, I don't know what he ends up being. If he ends up being just a tight end, then okay, great. And there's nobody else here on the free agent list. So you got to ask yourself, who else is going to be available? Maybe a Wilson, maybe a Watson, right? So you got Wilson, you got Watson, you got Rodgers. Those are going to be your top three that everybody's going to be QBXing over, the QBX frenzy, right? And that's going to start sometime in February, January. And that hype train. If I'm selling quarterback, I sell right there after the Super Bowl or whatever, and get people to start looking at that opportunity. Give me the highest price, and we saw that last year.
I love it. So we're going to transition to running backs. You look at the team. We have Antonio Gibson, who's coming off that tour. What is it? Turf toe. I think he's fully healthy this season. I'm expecting great things out of him. Then we have J.D. McKissick. Then we have my guy, Jared Patterson. They said he was too small. They said he was too slow. They said this and that. He played at Buffalo. It doesn't matter. I always say that production is really what matters when it comes to players, especially coming into the league. Now, my question for you guys is, how do you guys see this running back room shaking out? And I'm going to start with Phil, and I'm going to work my way around. Phil, talk to me about the running backs and what we were able to do.
I actually think Gibson's going to be a true three-down back. I think he's going to be one of the few in the league. They're going to want to run him power. They're going to let him get out in the passing lanes. You're going to see Gibson run some wheel routes and some flies. And, he's going to run the whole route tree out of the backfield. I just have that vision. That's why he's on almost all my dynasty teams. He's my man. But I think that Jared Patterson will be just the backup and some special teams play. And J.D. McKissick will get some of his passing work. But I think Gibson's going to be a true three-down back.
Okay, I like that. Now, Christian, talk to me about this running back room, and I know that you still miss Darius Guice, but this is not the episode to talk about that. So, talk to me about this running back group, and what are you expecting from this group this season?
Well, I'll mention the guy who got cut first because I think that was a surprise for a lot of people. And Tony and you and I talked about this a lot. Barber just didn't look the same. Like I know he dropped weight, but he looked like he lost cut, speed, and like power with it. And there's also this. To me, it seemed like even in preseason, it seemed like that Patriots and Bengals game both. When they saw him come in, they kind of knew what was coming. You know, it's telegraphed what Barber's in for. So I'm not surprised at all that he got cut. But anyway, I think I agree completely with Phil. I think Gibson will be a 3-down back. I think a lot of people will point at McKissick's numbers from last year, but I would say that McKissick had his volume inflated by Alex Smith coming back in dramatically. It wasn't the same with Haskins or Kyle Allen or Heineke even when they were in versus when Alex Smith was. Because I mean, Alex Smith is the definition of average quarterback, but he's also a check down Charlie.
Right.
And so that's why I think McKissick's numbers will be that high. I don't think that's going to happen again. I think you'll see Gibson really take over that 3-down role, like power. Okay, good. Outside zone, he's got that jet. Do that, wheel route here. Do whatever else route like that. I think this is going to be Gibson's breakout season. I mean, we're not talking fantasy here, but I really do think this is going to be the most one of the most used 3-down backs in the league this year.
I love it. Michael, talk to me. Running backs.
Yeah, guys, spot on, man. I completely agree. I think one person we haven't talked about, obviously, is the guy, why Barber got cut, and it's Patterson. Patterson reminds me of MJD, Darren Sproles, you know what I mean? Like combined. Like this guy is going to be something else, man. He can do everything from running between the tackles. Well, not everything because, he wasn't really, catching passes out of the backfield or anything like that. But as far as a 1-2 combination with Antonio Gibson, I mean, he's not going to run, 1,000, carries in the season. I mean, it's not going to happen. I think that's going to be the guy. And I think McKissick's work is going to be diminished a little bit. So I really like Patterson. I think it was good to move over from Barber.
And Michael, and it's funny that you say that because Steve Lim in the chat said Gibson and Jay Patterson is all you need. McKissick is about to become obsolete. I mean, he says good depth. So we all see McKissick's work diminishing. Not only that, I see McKissick as the guy that potentially might not be here next year. I don't think we're going to need a J.D. McKissick next year. If anything, we're going to get a much improved Peyton Barber type guy that's big, strong, and can catch the ball. I wanted to Ramondre Stevenson here. I'm still crying about that. I thought he would have been a perfect fit. But guess what, though? I am happy with Patterson. Patterson is going to be very, very good for us this year, and he's going to return some kickoffs as well. Tony, talk to me about the running back room.
Well, last time we talked, man, I said the one thing I want to see out of Patterson was could he pass block? It was a very good conversation. You told me, we got to figure out if Gibson could pass block.
Yeah.
Because we know J.D. McKissick can't pass block. And what we also found out was that Peyton Barber can't pass block either. And that was terrible. And that's why he's gone. One of the reasons, I think. And he also missed the ball on a swing pass. And Patterson, he's done some good things in the passing game early, did some lousy things lately. He missed a couple of balls. I think he had 3 drops. A little concerned about that, but I like the way he pass blocked. It was phenomenal. It was textbook. It was great. So I feel very good about him in there. I still don't know who runs 3rd and 1, right? And Barber's back on that practice squad. And as we start rotating through this whole practice squad thing, it's not exactly clear to me all the rules as to when people can come off practice squad, how often. There's something like early in the season, there's more versus later. So you could see Barber in there, week 1, doing short yardage for us. So we really don't know how those.
I can definitely see
things are moving back and forth.
Absolutely.
I think it depends on who we play.
Yeah. But what I was most impressed about with Patterson, like Tony mentioned, is that pass blocking. I mean, that pass protection was superb. That's for a smaller guy. I seen somebody in the chat. Steve Lim said, who did he call? He said Baby Sproles. So I can definitely see that. In the chat, we have Nessa in the building. We have Patrick West in the building. Appreciate you guys hopping on the stream. If you're watching from YouTube, please hit the like button and please subscribe and please share. So we're going to transition next to the tight end group. Look, I had the biggest battle within a battle between keeping my guy, Ricky Seals-Jones, or Simmons Reyes. Now, obviously, you want to keep the younger guy. You want to keep the guy that has upside that you can build around moving forward. But I just felt that it was going to be weird going into this season with Logan Thomas and 2 rookies. I don't care how physical Simmons Reyes is. I don't care about how physical and a good blocker John Bates is. That does not impress me. What impresses me is having guys that know what they're doing. We cannot forget that Logan Thomas was a project that has turned into one of the better tight ends in the league. So I'm going to start with Tony on this one. Talk to me about the tight end group, and were you surprised that the team kept 4 and not 3? Talk to me about that.
Yes, I was surprised it kept 4. I predicted 3. Phil and I went through all of our picks together, and Phil won that battle right there, and ended up beating me by 1. By the way, there was nothing at stake except pride, I think. But Phil ended up, I think, with I think you ended up 4 wrong, and I ended up with 5 wrong. It's tough. It's a little tougher than we thought. And who knew that Moreland was going to get cut? Right? We'll get into all that, I'm sure. But as far as the tight ends, I like Bates. I love Logan. And Samus is for the future. I wouldn't be surprised still. We talked about last time that, he does what Derek Forrest did today, was kind of just take a trip to IR and spend a year on the, developing. Ricky Seals-Jones was the obvious person to keep in there. I thought we could have left him unprotected and held on to somebody else. He felt differently.
And the thing with Ricky Seals-Jones, let me talk about Ricky Seals-Jones for a minute. With the team doing some funny things at wide receiver, which we're going to get to, he becomes a bigger wide receiver for us. You're going to see him split out wide a lot, especially in the red zone going for touchdowns. The team is not – we don't have a lot of large wide receivers. We don't have a lot of big wide receivers. So I also thought maybe that might have impacted us keeping 4 tight ends. Michael, do you agree with that statement?
I do and don't. I think that we are going to be with that tight end group. It's all about mismatches, right? So – without going to the next segment, talking so much about wide receivers, right? The mismatches are ridiculous, right? Dimey Brown, Curtis, okay, Terry, you know what I mean? And then, Logan Thomas at tight end. Mix in with, Antonio Gibson. All of those guys can go out wide, they can be interchangeable, So you need some blockers there. And I think that's why we kept 4 tight ends. I think that's why, Reyes made it, very high upside in development. The kid came down from, Chile to play basketball and, ended up, never playing football in his life, but just picked it up. And now he's, an NFL pro. That's nuts on physical attributes alone. He just needs the right coaching. You know what I mean? And he's got it with us, baby. Let's make it happen. ATTR.
I love it. Let me go to Steve Lim's comment. He goes, Logan's blocking is going to be even better this year. That's the hardest part of learning the tight end position. And I agree. Sometimes it takes rookie tight ends really 3 to 4 years to become a serviceable tight end. We're not even talking about a good or a great tight end, a serviceable tight end. So I definitely agree with that statement. We really have a really, really, really good tight ends coach, and I'm excited for the future with this tight end group. Christian, talk to me about tight end. You played something close to tight end when you played ball. So talk to me about the intricacies of blocking, receiving, running routes. Talk to me a little bit about what the tight end group entails.
Well,
Christian, have you ever run a route?
Yeah. No, so just to check off first, you guys can hear me, right? I had to turn off the mic I was originally using.
Yeah.
Good. All right, good. All right. So with blocking, I think it's the same thing with defense. Ultimately, it's most fundamentally desire. How bad do you want to drive one man against his will off the ball into whatever objective you have? That's blocking in its entirety. Now, there's always obviously intricacies of it, like, okay, where's hand placement come in? How does your hips go through? Where's your feet? Are you wide? Are you narrow? Where's your head position and whatnot? What is a holding? What kind of grass can you get away with? So there's a lot of intricacies with that. I wasn't a route runner or anything like that, so I can't tell you that part. But with the tight end room, I love that we have become a team that can actually consistently block at the tight end room. Because I'm not saying Logan Thomas is like an all-pro or George Kittle, But at the same time, it wasn't like with Reed, where if Reed came in, you kind of knew that we weren't going to run the ball.
Exactly.
Whereas Logan does actually give you the benefit of both. Like you have to be honest with him. Like you can't just say, "Oh, Logan's coming in, so now we know he's going to run," or "Logan's coming back in, he's going to go out wide and just go for a pass." No, there's more honesty to it. Now with the rookie part, yeah, you're right. I think you don't want to enter it obviously with just two rooks and who have never played, but one of which has literally never played NFL football or any football in his life before. But I always also knew that Samus was going to make the team. I mean, you don't make I don't think they made a random investment like that in a foreign player just to dump him immediately after. I think that would have been kind of weird. So I always kind of knew he would make it in some capacity, maybe do the Derek Forrest IR stint thing, but no, they kept him for real. So, man, we'll see. Ricky Seals-Jones, he's all right. I mean, he's kind of come around the league for a reason, so there's kind of journeyman tight end to him. But at the same time, it is veteran leadership and some kind of feel aside from just Logan. So we'll see, man. I like the tight end group a lot. And like you said, Manny, our tight end coach is obviously something, if he can, get Logan to go from, project to legit starter.
Hello. And Steve said that Simmons had some blistering blocks week 1. Yeah, they say he's the most physical blocker on the team, so that's encouraging. Phil, talk to me about the potential of this tight end group. So young, so inexperienced, but plenty of potential for sure.
All right, so the potential is actually with Samus, it's limitless. With how Pete Horner has done with Logan Thomas, Samus Reyes, once you teach that guy to catch, he runs, he's very physical. I mean, Ron Rivera said it best. He fits his culture. He works hard. He's after practice every day, according to whatever's reading. I mean, Logan Paulson. He's been working with Logan Paulson off on his own. You can tell the kid wants to do it. I mean, who has never played football and could step on a football field and make an NFL roster? I mean, I played football growing up, and there's no way I could ever make an NFL roster. So I mean, it just doesn't happen. I mean, his RAS has got to be off the charts. But I think with him and Bates and even Ricky Seals-Jones, who can block a little bit, you won't know what we're running. That's the best part about it.
Right.
Now, one thing I'll add there is that Reyes, he missed a couple blocks there in this last preseason game. He one time he was lost in space. He didn't know where to go. I was like, hit somebody, right? So he's got development. He's got things to learn. We never really expected him to be ready for 2021 week 1. So I mean, I think he's outperformed his development. I mean, what we thought his development would be. And I think he's doing great. So let's see what happens next. I think there, next couple of weeks, like you said, excessive, some sort of hang nail or something like that. He may just, end up on IR and continue to develop. And in 2022, look out, because he is big and he is tough. And he has, look, the hands aren't the worst in the world. He caught the ball, every ball thrown to him.
Better than Jeremy Sprinkle.
Steve Sims.
Right.
Sorry, yeah.
So guys, man, let's go ahead and transition to my favorite position, and it's wide receiver. Wide receiver is the fun position. Everybody loves this in PPR fantasy football. I mean, you see wide receivers flying off the board. With the football team, and this is a position group that I was not sure. Look, after a while, I got tired of trying to predict what was going to happen. You know what I'm saying? We had guys that we drafted. We had guys that we drafted in the past, young guys, vets. So when we were doing our predictions and everything, and me and Phil, we talk a lot. We talk. We try to predict. We try to speculate. And I have to say, I did not see Dax Mill making the 53. Although I did a video comparison between Dax Mill and Humphries, I just didn't see the two being on the 53. I saw one of the two, and everybody said you're crazy for thinking that Humphries is safe, or is not safe, or whatever the case may be. Now, We cut AGG, a guy that I've been pulling for, a guy that I thought was going to win the job when Kelvin Harmon got cut. Steven Sims got cut. Isaiah Wright has moved on. So a lot of these younger guys that we've gotten undrafted and even 7th round, those guys have moved on. But then a guy like Dax Mill, he makes it because guess what? He was a need. The team saw his skill set and said, you know what? That's our guy. Now, we're going to go around the frames one more time and talk about the wide receiver group. But what I want to hear from you guys is, do you guys think that Ron made the right decisions? How do you see this wide receiving group shaking out? Do you guys think that AGG plays this season or even has a shot to make the 53 next year? I'm going to start with Michael on this one.
Ooh, I'm going to tell you what. I think it was a very bad decision by Ron Rivera. And, I mean, I trust Ron Rivera, more than any Redskins coach since Gibbs, to be honest with you. Gandy Golden, he has unspeakable talent. He might have been a little bit raw, but still local kid. I don't know. I'm speechless. I'm baffled. Was he too much of a Cam Sims? Was he not as refined as Cam Sims? And they just looked at Cam Sims and him and were like, hey, maybe we don't need, this guy. I don't see why. I think Dax Moline should have been on the practice squad for sure. And then there was that DeAndre kid. I don't even know much about him. I'll be honest with you. I heard he can return and stuff. I don't even know what his number was. So everything else, I'm pretty much good on. I thought, it went how it was supposed to be. But very, very, very surprised about AGG.
All right. So first of all, let me address some things. At least I think Cam Sims plays special teams. Am I correct? Or plays some special teams. So we also know that position flex was key for Ron Rivera when making decisions. Now, we saw DeAndre Carter in practice and camps make some nice catches, do some things with the offense. I didn't see much of the game, but he did some things. And so he's showing us, okay, we can be a receiving threat if needed. You look at a guy like him and Dax Mill, special teams. It seems like Ron Rivera wants the special teams this year to be special. That's something that we have lacked. We've had no guy that can return punch, no guy that can return kickoffs. Coverage is bad. We don't even get field goal blocks, punt blocks. So it was emphasis on special teams. A lot of the guys that were on the bubble on whether making it or not, special teams gave those guys the nod. Let me go to Tony. What are your thoughts with this wide receiver group?
Apke.
AGG, I'm not as high on. He didn't do well last year. He was injured, and this year his hands did not look soft to me. They looked like he was still trying to figure out how to catch a ball. So he may be raw, but look, he's back on the practice squad. He cleared waivers, so obviously he's still on the team. He still can be called up at any point. But it's funny the comparison to Cam Sims because Cam Sims was raw. It took him through it. Was he in his 4th year, Cam Sims? Mm-hmm. He's been around a while, and he's made incremental, improvements in his game. And now he's on the, for 2 years now. I think last year he may have started off on the practice squad, if I'm not mistaken. I may be mistaken on that, but it hasn't been long since he was a practice squad player.
Hello.
So
took him 2 years.
Yeah. So AGG is a 4th rounder, and that's kind of crazy. A 4th rounder that you go ahead and you cut the 2nd year, or the 3rd, or the 4th. I can think of another 4th rounder. I wouldn't mind cutting, but I won't get into that here. Milne, look, I think he's going to do fine. I think he's got that slot mindset. I think Humphreys is a 1-year contract. He could be the next guy up. And he seems to have really soft hands, good route runner. Let's see, how they develop. We got 7 of them. The Carter kid, we need to have a punt returner. Who else is going to do it? We're going to try Patterson, a kick returner. So, you could keep 7 there. I predicted 7. I didn't think it was going to be AGG. I thought AGG was going to be on it though, and I was wrong. So.
Now, I know we hear a lot about Ron's plan. If you guys watch Louis T, he talks about Ron's plan all the time. Ron's plan. So I think that Ron knew that nobody was going to put in a claim for AGG. So he was playing chess. Why not cut AGG? Let him clear waivers. Let's keep the guys that we actually think that people are going to put claims on. I think that was brilliant. He knew nobody would put a claim on AGG. So then we get AGG back. He's going to be in a practice squad and work his way up with this team. And I was glad to see him come back. Obviously, he lost his number the minute that he left. Cam Sims says, this number's mine. So AGG, man, you know that you got problems when you're on your third number in your second year. Okay. But granted, he didn't have a lot of the practices and things of that nature last year. So I'm not going to just fault AGG too much. Phil, talk to me about this wide receiver group. And do you think that we got it right? Or do you think that there were a couple of things that we could have done differently?
I think we got it right. The reason I think you got it right is all of our notable cuts cleared waivers, every one of them, and most of them are back on our practice squad. Thank God we don't have Spanish Jesus no more. Bye bye. Yeah. So I can't remember the guy that comes in on the pod all the time and says, "Hey, Spanish Jesus." Well, sorry, dude, Spanish Jesus is gone. So,
crucified and not coming back. Yeah.
Yeah. As far as our wide receiver room, though. I mean, it's good. It's stacked. You can do worse than Cam Sims as your wide receiver 5.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's just the way it is.
Samuel? Where's Samuel?
Samuel's your RB4. Samuel's your RB4 / wide receiver 3. So, but I mean, Dax Milne, I had him making the team because he caught everything. He literally caught some of the catches I saw on the sidelines they were insane. But we all know he's going to be inactive on game day. He's going to be the inactive on game day. So, because DeAndre Carter is going to be active, he's our punt returner, kick returner, and we haven't had a real one of those in a couple of years. It's time to see that. So, I didn't have him making the original roster. I had AGG and Milne, but I'm happy with Carter. And AGG's back. And it's not like we lost him. He's right. Still a Redskin.
He's back. Yeah, he's back.
Washington football team.
So I've had Steve Lim in the comments talk about AGG. If he was so good, how come nobody picked him up? Hey, I don't think that the team cut any Pro Bowl players. I don't think that the team cut any guys that people were rushing to go grab. Nobody put in a claim for any Washington football team player that we cut. Right. So that should say something. Shout out to my guy, Ron, from the Washington Football Addicts podcast. Y'all make sure y'all check out the pod. These guys are great. He says AGG is back on the practice squad. And, he has to show it, he has to prove it, and he has to try to get back on that roster. I completely agree with that. T-Ho, welcome to the stream. Appreciate you hopping on. Chris, talk to me about the wide receiver group, and we'll go ahead and go to a next position group.
Yeah, Michael, when you first started, I thought you were going to say Kelvin Harmon, and I was like, oh my God.
Baby Julio.
Phil knows how I feel. I never have understood that guy's hype. As soon as Haskins said that he was going to be Baby Julio, I know that Harmon was doomed. When you can't heap praise like that on a 6th rounder and expect it to work out. But anyway, no, I was kind of surprised that AGG got the cut. I actually would have expected either Milne or someone else to have gotten the cut first, being that Ron actually did pick, Manny, AGG last year. Yeah, sorry. I would have expected that to happen, but at the same time, no, okay. It happens. The fact that everyone cleared the waivers and we got them all back in practice squad confirms that we know what we're doing. Now aside for the roster locks, obviously Terry was going to make it. Curtis was going to make it based on pay. I didn't see any scenario Humphreys wouldn't make it. And then obviously Diami was the big 3rd rounder we got, which was a steal for us in that. Then it came down to the 3. So Carter, as soon as I saw him continuously on the special teams making plays and Sims was out, that kind of confirmed to me Carter was going to make it. So left, I thought AGG, and then I'm forgetting the other name now. So Cam Sims, sorry.
Yeah, how could you forget?
Yeah, sorry. I don't know. I confused both the Sims in my head. It's no, we cut Steve. But anyway, so Cam, obviously, I think was going to make it because Ron spoke too glowingly of him and his, work even last year for me to see it being cut. So I left that 7th spot open. So it went to Milne. And I think like Tony said, I think Milne is going to be the development project in the slot because we only do have Humphreys for the 1 year. So, maybe next year Milne will become what we all thought, or a lot of people thought Trey Quinn was going to be. So we'll see.
Oh, baby Julio, baby Beckham.
Yes, sir. Shout out to Anonymous Taylor, man. He is the biggest Dayami Brown fan in the building. Phil, he is in our fantasy league.
No.
He's in our fantasy league.
Remember when we did our draft podcast?
Not this guy. This guy's a Titans fan. This guy's a Titans fan.
De'Ami was more than a fast guy, that he could run routes. That the wide receiver coach of North Carolina was like, why should we run other routes when he wins going straight? I mean,
no, you don't understand. You should have been at the show last week. Anonymous Taylor is the biggest Dayami Brown fan that I've ever seen. So let's talk about the offensive line. But I'm going to start with Chris, which is our offensive line specialist here on this particular panel. So when you talk offensive line, there were speculations. I've seen people say take 8. No, you got to take 9. 9 is the minimum. Most teams take 10, sometimes 11. With this offensive line selection, Keith Ishmael was cut. Wes Martin was cut. A lot of these guys were cut. For some reason, they love this center, John Tooth, or I don't know. I don't even know how to say his name. But for some reason, they cut him. They keep bringing him back. So Larson made some plays, did some nice things. The list is pretty much, we know those guys that were going to make the team. So talk to me about like the biggest surprise, I would say, on that offensive lineman.
The biggest surprise of the cuts was Keith Ishmael for me. I don't know. I kind of expected him to stay, being it kind of always seemed like he always maintained that second string center title. Then magically he was the one that got cut. So I was like, all right, well, that happens. As for the offensive line, I actually was really surprised to continuously Sam Cosmi get the first team at right tackle and then keep it. I mean, I think it says something when he beats out Corn Lucas. Now, maybe Lucas isn't the best offensive lineman ever, but he was actually pretty solid for us down the stretch last year. And based on what I've seen on Cosmi for the preseason, I think you're going to get very comparative play to what Morgan Moses gave us, if not slightly more athletic and maybe potentially even better. Because, I mean, it's a rookie, so you don't really want to expect too much, but that kind of athleticism and that drive and that power he showed to me was really impressive. He didn't seem to get faked out by stunts. They ran some. The Patriots ran a few against him. He maintained his feet. He has his good leverage. He could stand to learn better balance because I think he kind of puts his chest over his feet too much every now and again. But I'll end, my part with the offensive line with a quote that I don't remember what podcast I was watching, but they had a PFF guy with him, and that he had said something to the effect of, it's not about eliteness, it's about completeness. And with the offensive line, what I think I love about our unit is that it seems complete, like from left to right. Leno is at least an average left tackle. Either if you go with Flowers or Schweitzer, is at least an average left guard. Chase Roullier is one of the most underrated centers. Scherf is the first-team All-Pro right guard, so right now you have to say he's the best right guard in football. And based on what I've seen on Cosmi, he looks legit. I mean, from left to right, I think we have a complete line. If they're healthy all year, I think we'll have one of the better units, more underrated units in the entire NFL.
I love it. So, man, shout out to Chef Dre Boog in the building. He says, great points, fellas. Now, speaking of Brandon Sheriff, I want to go ahead and add this important point. I was listening to Ron Rivera's presser, and he was saying that Brandon Sheriff is a guy that they don't mind building with. Like, he had some great things to say about Brandon Sheriff. So I know my guy Rod, I don't know if he's still watching, but he is a big Brandon Sheriff fan. So all that says is they're going to try to find a way to keep him next season, especially if he balls out this year. So I went from Sheriff can go to, hey, maybe they come to a compromise that it works out for both teams. Maybe a short-term deal, or you front end his money, and then in a year or two you can let him go if you choose. So we can make him the highest paid guard for a year or two, to where it's flexible to do some other things. So talk to me about the money for Brandon Sheriff, Tony, because you're the money guy.
No, there's too much to talk about there to unpack. It's what is it, $20 million? You got Nelson getting signed this year too. That hasn't happened yet, right? He hasn't signed anything yet.
No.
So that's going to set the market. And if he goes before Sheriff, which I think is going to be likely, then you got Sheriff, whatever he's butthurt about or not agreeing to, we don't know.
Right.
We don't know.
Mhm.
We don't understand. So it's a little bit of miffed. I'm a little bit miffed on that one. Quite honestly, after he got injured against the Giants a couple years ago in the fall, we should have just signed him then, right in the locker room.
Mhm.
Turned him over and said, here's $15 million a year. We don't care. $16 million a year, whatever we could have saved at that point in time by pouncing on some opportunities. So I look at Sheriff as kind of that is already played, and it's gonna whatever we're gonna do there, we're gonna do. Let's just make sure we get ahead of all the others. Let's get ahead of a Cosby when it's time. But more importantly, for the rest of the team, the McLaurins and the D line, let's just take care of what we can take care of. Whatever's going on with Sheriff, it's almost like it's out of our control right now because we let it get out of our control. Right. And it starts with having going through 2 regimes in the last 2 years, and I'm not sure what can be done to salvage that long term. But if it happens, obviously, I don't think there's philosophical differences between Ron Rivera and Sheriff. I think they're kind of cut from the same cloth, and he does look like a culture fit. So it's with the agents and it's with the team. Let's just hope that they're able to put something together. If they need help, I'll raise my hand and I'll structure something for them and make them both happy. But we just need to get them to come to the table, for God's sake.
Absolutely. So man, enough about offensive line. As much as the offensive line excites me, let's talk defense, man. This is the heart and soul of the team. Defensive line. We start with the defensive line. Of course, all of our defensive tackles made the team. That was not a surprise there. And there's been talks that the team is going to run a lot of 5-2-4. I'm not familiar with that. I'll let you guys analyze and do all this stuff. So with that being said, I've always said that I'm not sure of this defensive line depth. We drafted 2 guys in the 7th round, which I look at Shaka Toney more so as a linebacker. Anyways, even if he plays edge, he's still going to play some linebacker for us. Now, William Bradley King, that was a surprise cut to me, even though I knew, I don't see us keeping 2 7th rounders. And then you have James Smith-Williams. So let's start with Phil on this one. How did the whole defensive line shake up for you?
Well, the guy that I didn't think would make it because I didn't see him play at all in the preseason was Casey Toohill. I know he played last year, and I think he was a big part of the 5-2, big defensive line. But when I heard we're going to play a 5-2-4, I was excited. I mean, that means Big Matt's going to be on the field, and Big Matt is our best interior pass rusher. He pushes the pile better than anybody not named Aaron Donald. Just the way it is. He's in the backfield in a heartbeat. Him up the middle and Chase Young around the edge. Good luck being a quarterback. I feel bad for Patrick Mahomes. I wouldn't want to play any of us. Wait, I was taking back. Week 1, Justin Herbert. We started his sophomore slump, by the way, on week 1.
No.
Yeah, sophomore slump. He's going to be in a slump this year. But because Chase Young's going to have him seeing ghosts. Because I can't wait to see Chase Young and Rashawn Slater go against each other week 1. Yeah. That's going to be an awesome matchup. But our defensive line, that's our bread and butter. I still think we should have traded one of them. I don't see us paying all of them. I think Payne brings back the most return. Yep. But I know Payne is your boy, Manny. I know you love Payne. We all do. And it's not just we all do. We all see that Deron Payne is the most athletic defensive tackle on the team. But he misses at times. He's not as consistent as I think he should be, especially for as talented as he is. I think that's why we paid John Allen. John Allen's a Ron Rivera guy. And we're about to have to pay 2 bookend defensive ends $30 million a year. So I mean, somebody's got to go. I say lock up and settle right now for a low win contract and keep the D line as much together as you can. I had William Bradley King making it, because he looked more explosive off the line to me. Shaka Tony made it through specials. He played more special team snaps than WBK did.
Yep.
So, but everybody knows, anybody that watches or follows WFT, it starts up front with our front 5, 6, 7, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah, man. I think that position group needs a name. Chris, what do you think the name should be for that position group? I mean, that's the best part of the team, man. You know what I'm saying?
It is the best.
Over with it.
What defensive line?
So you know how we have like Washington football team? Yeah, just Washington defensive line.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So talk to me about the group and your expectations. How many sacks do you see this group getting? Now, we're not even talking about the rest of the team, just the defensive line. How many sacks do you see?
I mean, all right, well, I want to also first answer, I don't remember what name I saw scroll, but they were asking also about the 5-2-4, and you did too. That's just referencing the defensive numbers of the positional players and from front to back. So 5 meaning 5 defensive linemen, 2 meaning 2 linebackers, 4 meaning 4 DBs. Now, seeing us, I think, because this is actually especially true with Ron, he likes to run Tampa 2 a lot. You're going to see 4-2-5. Primarily as you see more nickel and dime defenses play out. So that's just saying that so that people can understand what's being meant by that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as far as the defensive line, I think you have a legitimate shot of seeing Sweat and Young combined for 30 minimum, and especially in a 17 games series, 17 game season, with the kind of pressure that Matt Ioannidis will now give back up the middle, because I think people really need to understand what it means for a defensive end to see the pocket get pushed out more consistently, because I do think Matt Ioannidis is our best interior rusher. As far as pass rush is concerned, if him back will be critical, because I think people don't really want to admit it, but the defensive line for the first 3 weeks had the most pressuring that we were all season, because Ioannidis was there. That isn't to take away from the job that Settle did and Payne as well as Allen without Matt, but it was at its best week 1, week 2, week 3 with Matt there. Now, Phil, you said it for me. I actually kind of was surprised Casey didn't make it. I actually would have expected them to keep 5 defensive ends over 5 D tackles. That's just me personally, because this depth we have. But hearing that 5-2-4 comment, I think confirms it, because then you're going to see a lot of Chase Sweat outside, and then Payne on the inside on the A gap, and then Ioannidis and Allen over the guards. Which, I mean, like you said, good luck. Whatever offensive line we play, just good luck. I mean, I hear all Dallas's hype, like, oh yeah, we got Zach Martin, Lyle Collins, Tyron Smith back. Okay, cool. We got Matt Ioannidis back too. I mean, it's going to be that's going to be primetime football, man. And then KC's rebuilt offensive line. I mean, that's going to be our litmus test. I mean, if we're really that good, those guys, it's going to show.
Right. And look, having 5 defensive linemen. Look, that means there's 5 offensive linemen, right?
Yeah.
One-on-one, there is nobody in the league that can guard us. They better be praying that we have 4 on the line, or even 3 on the line. You're talking about 5? That's a sack every time. That's a sack. That's a pressure. That's a quarterback hit. I'm excited for this defense. We're gonna knock some quarterbacks out. Look, I don't condone violence. I do not condone violence, but you're going to see so many quarterbacks on the ground, grabbing their knees, grabbing their ankle, grabbing their thumb. I'm telling you, it's going to be crazy. We're going to see havoc. I think that this year, this team has a potential to lead the NFL in takeaways. And that starts with pressure. Michael, do you agree with that statement?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's kind of the reason, I kept the football team on my fantasy league defense. I mean, I think, absolutely without a doubt, we're going to be the number 1 defense in the league. The pressure and everything is good. I want to go back to a point. I think Phil, you were talking about signing Tim Settle, to as good of a contract as possible. I completely agree, man. I think that is absolutely spot on in what we need to do. It scares me that Daron Payne is up next for this huge contract extension. However, let me pose the question to you guys. Him and Jonathan Allen being teammates for, I mean, Lord knows how long you can remember. Is it the chemistry that they have, the continuity? Is that something that, they brought to the defensive line? And if we take away Daron Payne, Will it actually break, our defensive line? Is he that much of a centerpiece?
I think he's a huge piece, but I'm going to move this one to Tony. We know how Phil feels about this question, so we're going to skip Phil on this one. Tony, do you think that Daron Payne is a centerpiece for this defense? Is he replaceable?
Well, we already have his replacement on the team. I mean, okay, so let's go back to the 5-2 for a second. If you're putting 5 down linemen there, who are those 5? Ioannidis, Payne, and Allen, right? Mm-hmm. You could go Allen, Settle, and Ioannidis, and you could be without Payne. And, you're trying to keep them fresh. You're pulling them in and out. They're all great, but we got 4 good ones. Settle's the cheapest, $5.5 million a year. That's probably the range that you're looking at to sign him now. Get ahead of the situation. This is the number one signing that we need to get ahead of, in my opinion, and it's going to allow us then to play a little bit better capology with Payne and Ioannidis, because there's a sequential order to these things coming up. Some of these guys don't have any. Some of them have the 5th-year option on the outside, right? So does Settle. Excuse me. So does Payne. Allen's signed. So Ioannidis won't, and he's kind of at a lower salary. So we got to figure out, shuffle this deck, and see who we can keep and who we can't. And then a lot of it, believe it or not, is going to come back to our boy Sheriff. And if he doesn't sign, then you got another $20 million to play with, and you decide then what you want to do. But the 5-2-4 to me is about maximizing our time with these guys together. And let's put them all on the field. Let's go ahead and knock their socks off. And by the way, last time I checked, we don't really have great linebackers, or at least enough of them.
Oh, that's next.
So why not just go what his name is, Jamin and Holcomb, and let those 2 go there. And then you can pull down a safety when you need to, and then you just flip it around, right? You could go a 4-2-5 or a 3-2-6. So all those different things can happen, and it's just playing with a smaller number of linebackers and putting your best people on the field. So I see a lot of. I'm looking forward to what JDR is going to do here, and to see how he's going to be able to utilize this, and then maybe that'll help us determine what our strategy is with all these linemen, and if this is even something that's palatable long term. In high school we played a 5-2. Mm-hmm. We played a 5-2 with the nose tackle. 2 guys over the guards and 2 guys over the end. So that was our base defense, and it was about getting as much pressure up front as possible.
I love it.
Who knows? It also goes to the personnel.
I love it. So we got 2 more segments, and that'll be the end of the show. We got to transition to the weakest position on the football team, and it's the linebacker position. This position is terrible. This position is like Swiss cheese. It's like tissue paper. Matter of fact, it's like wet tissue paper. It can't hold anything, okay? This position right here scares me. I know you can talk about the Buffalo nickel and the 5-2-4 and the 4-2-5. All that sounds nice and dandy, but guess what? If something happens to Jamin Davis or something happens to Cole Holcomb, we are in trouble. So with the initial 53, they kept 4 guys. Bostic, which is Phil's favorite guy, along with the first-round pick Jamin Davis and Cole Holcomb. Then they also kept Khaleke Hudson. Today, they were able to stash and hide Derek Forrest on the IR and re-sign Mayo back on the team. Obviously, everybody is screaming for KJ Wright or McKinney or all these different linebackers that are available. Ron says, you know what? I'm going to bring in a guy who's already in my system. But what I see happening is signing one of these veterans to the practice squad, where you give those guys a couple weeks to get acclimated to the system, and then they're elevated to the big team. So I can see something like that happening. There's a reason why Dax Mill is on the team. There's a reason why we kept 7. He's not going to dress. Guess what? There's a way that you can hide him on the practice squad, or even on the IR, saying that he has a thumb injury and he'll be back in 3 weeks. And then they're going to do some things like that. over and over and over and over again. There is no surprise. It's all within the rules. Now, whether Derek Forrest is really hurt or not, it's none of my business. All I know is it was genius the way that they were able to, have him, then hide him in IR, and he'll be back week 4. Now, Phil, when you talk about linebackers, what are we doing? Are we going to sign a veteran? Do you think that we roll out with Mayo? Because Mayo and Holcomb are twins, right? They have the same skill set, right? Whatever.
No.
Yeah, talk to me about the linebacker position, man.
All right. Well, we all know if we do run the 5-2-5, that it more than likely is going to be Jamin Davis and Cole Holcomb there. Mm-hmm. And like you said, if one of them goes, God forbid, does go down, we're in trouble. It's just no doubt about it. You're going to see a lot of Landon Collins and Cam Curl playing that second linebacker position is my prediction. If one of those guys, the only reason David Mayo's back is for special teams. And as far as Dax Milne hitting the IR, I don't think that'll ever happen. I think he'll be stashed. I just don't think he'll ever be active. He'll stay on the roster. He just won't ever be game day active. They'll pull up guys from the practice squad and they'll be active ahead of Dax Milne, because they will not drop Dax Milne to the practice squad for another team to claim him. I just don't see that happening.
Right. I'm sorry. You are absolutely right. I forgot about the rules where you can call up a guy from the practice squad to be active. They can protect X amount of players if it's the same rules from last year. So all that is pretty cool. Chris, talk to me about the linebacker position. And are you worried or it's fine?
I mean, I am a little worried. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm like super stressed. I mean, I think Davis got better as the preseason went on. But
sweating over there, though, bro. Why are you sweating, though? Why are you sweating?
Oh, I'm hot. I just got off work. No, I'm just playing.
I'm messing with you.
No, I mean, no, Jamin Davis, he did get better as the preseason went on, but I still don't see, quite that first-year impact. Like, I mean, a lot of people comped him to Darius Leonard coming out. I think people forget Darius Leonard was a first-team All-Pro immediately. Right. Like, I mean, he hit the ground sprinting, not just running.
Not Darius Leonard.
He was crazy, yeah. But no, Cole, I mean, I've heard him. They've said, that they feel he's gotten better, which, I mean, I think he has. I mean, Bostic is Bostic.
Bostic.
And then, yeah, exactly. Just whatever. Cool. I mean, we all know he's a suspect anyway. I would love to see McKinney. I think he's one of the more underrated linebackers around the NFL. I'm surprised he got cut, but then again, the Texans, I think, have become the worst team in the NFL, without a question, in my honest opinion.
Dolphins cutting.
Yeah. So we'll see. I haven't seen McKinney update about if he signed anywhere or not, so I'd love to see that happen. Yeah, so I mean, I would say, like you said, Manny, it's the weakest position overall on the roster currently. But what the hope is that the D line is so insanely, good that they mask up that deficiency. So we'll see, man.
Absolutely. So because of time, we're gonna go ahead and transition to the next position group. We're gonna combine it: the corners and the safeties.
Mm-hmm.
We did some little crazy stuff with this position group as well. Derek Forrest. He makes a team. Troy Ackby, which is Phil's twin brother, also makes a team. And I know that Phil is excited to see Troy Ackby back on special teams. He's a special teams ace. And me and Tony had a conversation. I told him, if this happens, this is going to happen. And I told him that if this happens, that Troy Ackby will be on the team. And guess what? The legend of Troy lives on. Mike, talk to me about the cornerback position and the safety position. Were there any surprises? Were you upset by a couple of the moves that was made in those two position groups? Talk to me about that.
Well, I mean, what did Dion say about Apke? He's like, that boy can run.
He can run.
That boy can run. Look, dude, I was floored. I'm still floored. I'm not happy whatsoever. However, there is a reason to everyone's madness: speed. And I want to touch back on the linebacker backer positions, okay? Everyone there is fast, all right, except for Boston, all right? Might be a little bit suspect, but, he's a veteran presence, you know what I mean? He's going to hard hit you in the middle. It is what it is, catch an interception every now and then, all right? It's up to Davis and Holcomb to be able to cover the edges, and then the safeties to drop down and play a little bit of linebacker as well, with the corners, edging out, okay? With that being said, man, Apke is fast, and you cannot teach speed. You cannot teach speed. You can teach him everything else. And I made this comment to Tony, as a matter of fact. I think it was what was it, the first game we were watching? He actually looked good on one route I saw. It was one route. He actually, definitely covered that wide receiver really well. I mean, it was one play, but if he's doing well at special teams, just don't start him, at safety, I guess, right?
Look, before Tony talks, because he's bubbling right now. Tony is pissed right now. Before Tony talks, let me go ahead and say, if you guys watch punt coverage, he's a gunner. He is a gunner. This guy's the first guy to get to the guy. He might run past the guy, but guess what?
He run faster.
But guess what? He might run past the guy, but he's the first one there every single time.
Tony,
so Troy Apke is the fifth corner on his team. Also, Daryl Roberts also made the team. So that was a bit of a surprise. Jimmy Moreland, big name, was cut. But he's been reverted back to the IR with a injury designation. We don't know what the injury is. But I will say this. Everybody's mad about Jimmy Moreland, the people's corner. What has Jimmy Moreland really shown us in the regular season in terms of making big plays? I don't see. Look, they say he's a ball hawk, right? He makes plays. He does this. I haven't seen it in the regular season besides that one game, that one INT. He does. Look, he does some nice things. He's a good corner. I like Jimmy Moreland, but I'm not gonna cry over sport milk. I'm not gonna cry because a fan favorite is gone. I love AGG. We love all these. Phil loved Kelvin Harmon. He's gone. But the thing is, here in DC, we overvalue players. We celebrate Jags. With all that being said, Mr. Tony Andrews, talk to us about the back end of the defense.
Okay, well let's start with the positives. Okay, nobody's mentioned Torrey McTyer. This guy came out of nowhere and did a fantastic job. I started watching him early and said, don't sleep on this guy. He can play, and he's going to get some playing time. And he better be on the field before other players are on the field.
Yep.
So, and then it goes to the whole strategy of getting big and tall at the edges with William Jackson III and St. Juice. And if that's the case, where does Moreland fit? In the slot? Well, there's Fuller.
Exactly.
And so now you got Fuller in the slot. So now you got three guys that can really play. Now you got some other guys that seem to be able to cover. McTyer can cover, right?
Right.
So and Roberts can cover. Roberts impressive.
Right.
So you got Roberts. I don't understand what's so difficult about playing special teams, by the way. I mean, everybody plays special teams. The coach says go out there and play special teams. If you don't want to play special teams, you don't play for us.
Exactly.
Right? McTyer's got to play special teams. Roberts needs to play special teams. We'll find some others in that group that need to play some special teams. But then there's the head scratcher, and we don't need to get into the deep dive of what it is. But call him what you will, he is not a safety. Troy Apke is not a safety anymore. Can we all agree on that?
Yep.
Can we all agree
Yep.
after
Absolutely.
losing Contain?
Yep.
Can we all agree
Amen.
after losing Contain on a 91-yard TD run, on having a PI, on a hold penalty, and giving up basically 2 touchdowns in the last preseason game, that he's not a cornerback?
Nope.
He's not. So I want an ankle bracelet on Troy Apke. And if he shows up on the defense, I want him to get stunned, okay, and not allow. And JDR needs one too, because he needs to know when Apke has stepped onto that defensive field. Because I'll tell you what, Ron was right about one thing. Everybody's going to game plan if Apke is on the field, and the game plan on special teams is just run past him because he has no chance of tackling anybody. It's gotten to the point that people tell me that a gunner doesn't have to tackle. That's only a bonus. Gunner just needs to go out there and disrupt the. Okay, great. So now we have the kicker, the punter, and Troy Apke, who have no responsibility on tackling for the Washington Redskins. Okay, if that's the case and that's where we're at, then he's perfectly placed exactly where he needs to be. Okay,
Question.
Troy Apke.
I'm sorry.
One last thing.
Okay.
One last thing. Brian Mitchell spoke out on Troy Apke. He called him garbage. The top special teams player in quite possibly the history of the NFL called his play garbage.
Wow.
And that is the truth. It's all over the page in the group if anybody wants to see it. That's just what it is. So whatever Ron's seeing, whatever they're doing there, he cannot tackle. It would be nice as kind of a backup plan that the gunner may be able to tackle, but he cannot tackle because he doesn't have the skill set to tackle. He's got some sort of depth perception, bad angles, and it's just bad. So let's get to the good stuff. The good stuff is we picked up 2 players and we lost Moreland. And Moreland obviously didn't fit into this scheme that they're looking at putting together.
Right.
But Phil and I were talking. I think he's headed to free agency.
After
it looks
IR.
like it's a technicality that he's now on the IR with the injury designation. They're going to get an injury settlement, and as soon as the settlement happens, he's released back to free agency to go sign with somebody else. And Nikki Javala was saying something about it. Her thoughts are he's going elsewhere.
Yeah,
So maybe there's a better fit. And I just looked up Moreland on Google, and on every team it says the 6 people in free agency that we need to make an offer to. Moreland. He kept on coming up on every single team's radar. So I don't expect him back.
No.
Yeah. So also, when you look at the corners that we have now, Torrey McIntyre is 6 feet tall. Daryl Roberts, he's 6. Troy Apke, he's 6'1". So we got taller, which is good. McIntyre, he is physical. When this guy went against Jamar Chase, is it Jamar Chase? I'm sorry. Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
He looked good. Good. I loved what I saw out of this guy. I mean, this guy literally took Jimmy Moreland's job. Everybody says, "Oh, Jimmy Moreland is a boundary corner. He's this, he's that." Look, we got better. At the end of the day, we got better. Some fans are going to be mad, that Moreland is gone. But at the end of the day, did we get better? And I think we did. I think we're going to see a lot of Fuller in the slot and safety. So when we look at the safety group,
let's see WJ3 on the field too, right?
Exactly.
So in
exactly.
the safety group, Forrest is gone. He's to IR. Okay, at least temporarily, right? Fast guy. Reeves is gone. Did he get signed back to the
practice squad?
Practice squad.
He's practice squad too. Okay, so he's ready to come back. Okay, and then you got McCain, right? And you got you got Everett, which was a surprise to me that he actually cruised through this without any kind of people considering him for a waiver.
He's our best special teams player.
He's a great special teams player, right? So, Ron's putting his money where his mouth is on the special teams, and we got some decent safeties out there. Of course, Landon Collins and Curl, and bringing them down into the box and helping out that linebacker crew. I think we're in good shape with the secondary. Quite frankly, I feel good about that group.
Yep.
Maybe one heavy than what I thought it was going to be, and that's fine. Just that one really isn't a special team. It's sort of like Danny Johnson. Was he really in the special teams last year? Because all he did was
kickoff returner.
He never stepped foot on the defensive side of the ball. Let's do the same with Apke.
And I think that happens. Look, when you look at the roster, right, outside of quarterback, every roster position, that's 5th or 6th guy is special teams player. I mean, you can go look through the entire roster.
Mayo.
From A through Z. Mayo, everybody who's number 5 or number 6 have to play special teams, and that's how these guys were able to make the team. They're going to bring up more guys from the practice squad to play special teams if need be. So, guys, I have a question for you guys, and then I want you guys to answer the question and then let the people know where they can find you on social media. Tony, if you could play any position right now for the football team, what position would it be? And also let the people know where they can find you.
It's Anthony John on Facebook. We're all from Redskins Hub. We did a Redskins Hub pod here, so we appreciate you, Manny, for having us.
Mm-hmm.
Quarterback. It was always quarterback. I was quarterback in high school. I wasn't very good, but that's where I've always looked at the game from the eyes of a quarterback. So that's always been my. If you're looking back when I was 10 years old, I wanted to be the quarterback of the Washington Redskins. Didn't exactly happen that way, did it? But that's where I am. That's the position I would play. Move on to the next person.
That might happen. Who knows? Maybe I might be able to put together something to where you might be able to play in practice.
It's too late.
But
it's too late.
It's like that movie. What is it? The Longest Yard?
Too late.
Oh man. Michael, talk to me, man. What position can you play right now for the football team, and where can the people find you on social media?
So I would definitely take Apke's spot. I think I would do very, very well there. I unfortunately, guys, and this is something I'm a huge fan. I never played in high school or college or anything like that. I was more of a basketball guy. However, my love for the Redskins it was bred into me. Ever since I was young. Growing up in DC, RFK Stadium, seeing the blimp go over my house over Ames Street. I mean, Northeast, Southeast, stand up, let's go. Montgomery, PG, let's happen, right? But anyway, I would definitely play cornerback for the Redskins just because of my speed and believe I could read coverages very well.
Love it. Chris, I think I know the answer to this question, but same question.
Well, which side?
I know, right?
Well, my dream position, because my favorite player growing up has always been Trent Williams. It's going to be left tackle. As soon as I heard growing up the nickname Silverback, I was hooked. So for me, like if I could dream myself as a starting left tackle and be the blindside protector, like I'll keep Tony up all day if I have to. But I mean, we cut Wes Martin, and I feel like I could probably play better guard right now than Wes Martin. He just never play with leverage, so I mean that's a lot to say, I know. But no, if you want to follow me, I always will defer to the main Redskins page, as you see right there. Go to Redskins Hub on Instagram. Tony, Cal, Michael, Phil, myself, Jeremiah, and she's here. Jess, we all run it. Tony and especially does the hardest, grit work through Capology and whatnot. So yeah, follow on Redskins Hub. It's the best way to find us.
Awesome. And Phil, what about you, brother?
Well, I would say free safety, but I'm not messing with Curl and McCain and all those. But I think I got good hands, so I think I'd be a little shifty little slot receiver.
There you go.
So if I played anymore, I'm too old. Don't play. See the gray in the beard. No, it doesn't work anymore.
So Phil, so what you're saying is that you're a mixture between Adam Humphries and Troy Aikman. Got it. Okay, continue.
No. There's no. I actually will hit somebody though. There's no. I'm not afraid to stick my nose in there and hit somebody. Trashkey. Trashkey runs by people, and he doesn't even know the rules. He's just.
Oh man.
I don't want to go in there. I could go on a Trashkey tangent for a long time.
Yeah.
So anyway, social media, it's all Redskins Hub. That's all it's about for me. I do roster projections. I do draft. I do some minor, I guess you could say, writing for the page. It's a hobby of mine. It's not a career for me. I don't think it's a career for any of us. It's just a hobby. Growing up in North Carolina, as old as I am, Carolina wasn't around. No Panthers. I'm born and raised a Redskins fan, and luckily got to see 3 Super Bowls. The first one I was very young for, but I was alive for all of them. So that's why I will always bleed burgundy and gold.
Awesome. So if I can play any position for the football team now, I'll say 2 years ago, maybe wide receiver, maybe tight end. Right now, I'll probably say defensive line on the edge, you know what I'm saying, getting my Chase Young on, to add to that group. I think that, hey, Daniel Snyder, if you're watching, man, look, I just want a one-day contract, you know what I'm saying? I'm pretty cheap. You guys can get me for, high six figures. And, I take PayPal, I take, Cash App, Venmo, all that good stuff. So you don't even have to claim me on the taxes. You know what I'm saying?
You could be Two Hill. We don't know what this guy looks like. Two Hill.
I know, right?
Just walk into the facility, say, "I'm Casey Two Hill," and look at let's get you, situated.
Oh man. Look, I never got to play sports. I never got to play sports in high school. But I would love one day. This is a dream of mine, to be in a full Washington football gear from head to toe and not play a single snap. I just want to run out with the team, stand there, watch my team from the field.
I was gonna say, are you Rudy now? What's going on?
Hey, look.
Little Rudy Redskins.
Look, I had little sisters, so I had to babysit. So, never really got to play anything. But I would love to come out there. Hey, they can give me one carry, and I will get -5 yards. So, we'll see, man. Maybe one day Daniel Snyder makes it happen for me. Hey, so it's the least he can do. We both came into this thing together in 1999. So, I think it's time for me to start, getting dividends for enduring so many years of no playoffs. So, guys, this is the Back Row Redskins show. This is the Talking Sports with Manny YouTube channel. If you're watching the replay, please like, please subscribe, and please share. And if you're listening on audio, please be sure to give me a 5-star. Get on there and give me a review. That way, the show can be boosted up as one of the top Washington football podcasts and YouTube channels as well. So, guys, I appreciate the Redskins Hub admin group coming on the show. Special thanks to Tony, Mike, Phil, and Chris, man. I appreciate you guys, man. We're going to do this some more. Hey, we have a meaningful football game coming next week.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait for it.
Mm-hmm.
Hail to the Washington football team. We are going to destroy the Chargers, and I'm looking forward to it. It's
the appetizer is going to be seeing Dallas get destroyed on national television Thursday night to open the season. It's going to be double greatness.
I love it. So, guys, this is the show. This is the crew, man. This is a great one, and we are out.